Hello and welcome to Running the Gauntlet. This week we have Haumea as a guest, and we have Asset Step joining us again. Again, my name is Promic. Haumea, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hello. You guys know me. Uh, been here for how many? Like 2 years, I think. Uh, like five GCS League tournaments. Uh, yeah. I, yeah, I've enjoyed my time here. Nice community.
All right, and
But yeah,
Asset, go ahead.
Yeah, we're just running it back again. Was here week one, and I'm happy to be here week two. The captain for our team GG.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have you guys here. Running the Gauntlet to me is one of the most important parts of GCS. I think it helps kind of bring the community on an adventure of like, oh, this is just what we're doing, and it kind of unites the community, in my opinion. It's kind of funny because on Monday I play on a different tournament, and I actually had to play a bunch of Gauntlet games on Monday. And basically, that league, what the way they do it is that you don't get eliminated from playoffs until the very end. And the way they do it is they do best of ones for the 4 through 6 slot. And we were fortunate enough to win both of our games and get into playoffs that way. So I'm excited to start this running the gauntlet instead, which is a lot less stressful than Monday's was. So again, this is GCS Season 3, Week 2. And the first thing we're going to look at is just the Week 1 standings. This is just how the weeks ended up last week. The order of the first three is however you want to look at it, because obviously they haven't played each other. But of the bottom three teams, or of the bottom four teams, only TCOJ had scored a point up until this point. And then now we're going to the first set of games. The first set of games is EBO versus Zoom. Because of the way that this week was essentially handled, where we didn't have that many live stream opportunities, I'm going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about how game one played out, and then you guys can weigh in, and then we'll do game two and game three. So for game one, EBO actually starts off being fine. They're farming well. They're kind of sort of staying relevant, but then Zoom is kind of just catching them off guard and not even doing it in any particularly sneaky way. And what I mean is, for example, 2 times early, Ali just dies while backing, and the only reason she dies is because Karma walks up fully in vision, throws a Q, and kills her. And that's it. And this happens twice in the early game. All right. So while EBO does a good job of kind of staying relevant farm wise, they just make mistakes like that over and over again. And so it at one point just becomes where, hey, we're just stronger than them, and Zoom decides to just throw it all in a tower dive, and from that point on, that's pretty much the game. Like, Zoom was fully in control after that. So that's the story of game one. Any comments or anyone see anything in the
well,
score that they want to discuss?
obviously I didn't see the game, but just looking at the comps, I feel like EBO's comp is one where it looks really good on paper. You have a lot of synergy, a lot of AoE damage and CC, but then you're sorely lacking like a strong frontliner or engage. And I think Amumu, while he is kind of tanky, you can see uh, even if he wasn't so far behind, I think unless you're really fetish jungle, you kind of fall behind solo laners in terms of income, and unless you're not as tanky, especially because you go Leandries. I think rather than a Thresh, it would be nicer if they had like a Rel or something. And you see it with like Zoomer's comp. They have like a strong front line. They have good area control. They have like a strong hyper carry with like a strong enchanter to peel. I think comps like that are like generally better and usually easier to pilot them. But it's also crazy how much damage Boom did compared to Ali. Actually, it's almost 20k higher, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah, no, it was Boom was definitely sort of popping off the entire game, in particular early game, and it's because they were just a little bit too comfortable in the bot lane from the side of Ali and Thresh. They were basically just a little too laissez-faire, and they were getting punished pretty hard by just Boom being able to play them, and then I think Goodyear shows up once or twice. Any thoughts on the game from your side, Acid, just looking at the stats that we have available now?
I mean, a little bit of a preview for game 2, I guess, but like I noticed that EBO did have a sub in for all 3 games this series. Normally, I think ACs is on their team, but we had hashtag man subbing in for this one, which I believe is a D4 player.
Yeah. So,
Um,
good that you mentioned that, because as we go into game 2, that is a very, very relevant fact. Basically, game 2 is the hashtag man game. It is completely a game that he kind of takes the reins off early, and then Zoom spent the entire rest of the game trying to take them away, and we're completely unable to. So Zoom starts off strong. They get a couple kills early, and they're kind of getting those kills very, very convincingly. They're like making big plays. They are essentially outpowering the enemy, and it's very, very clear if you're looking at the game early that it's like, okay, well, I think Zoom is just going to 2-0. However, hashtag man gets, I think, 2 kills very early on into the Ziggs. And from those 2 kills, he essentially spends the rest of the early game rotating to finish off the fights that happen in every lane. And so he starts getting a little bit fed to the point that about 12 minutes into the game, Zoom successfully kills 3 members of the enemy team. They go to do Dragon. Hashtag man goes and clears a ward in the banana bush, and they completely back off. They're like, we want no part of hashtag man. And that was like essentially a 1v3. Hashtag man was like a half health. And the Aurora, who had even shown up for the play, was almost, I think, at 80% health. And they were still like, you know what? We're not going to even risk doing this Dragon in the numbers advantage. And they just had to go.
He's aura farming.
No,
They
it was
saw
crazy.
his aura was just insane.
So from that Dragon fight forward, they kind of just snowballed. But yeah,
hold on. I want to correct this. He's a D2 player. He's currently D2, which I don't know how that happened because AC says he's a platinum player, I believe. But
I've been told they weren't using their Apex tier 1 slot, so that's why they could get
so yeah, I was gonna say I think
sorry.
EBO is the only team that doesn't have 2 tier 1 players, so maybe that's why.
No, that's probably.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Acid. Sorry.
No, I mean, like I feel like you summed up pretty well. Especially like if you're looking at Zoom's team comp, like Ziggs, Sivir, Sona, Aurora, those are such juicy targets for Cat, you know? Like, Cat could pop off so well this game, and I'm not sure when Cat was picked, but wow, what a great game for that champion to scale into that game.
Yeah, it's one of those games where they don't actually really have any ways of stopping Katarina, so if she gets ahead, it's pretty hard. Just a little unfortunate.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what they ended up facing. Essentially, the lanes started to do okay, and then as soon as Katarina showed up, she deleted any sort of advantage that the lanes were getting.
Yeah, it's actually very smart of them to see the flaw in Zoom's comp. Like they don't actually have any really dedicated hard CC that's reliable to land, so Katarina is able to just zoom around the fights and just like zoom around the map and basically pick off whoever she wants and then just scale up, get a bunch of gold, and then she's kind of unanswerable in team fights. So well played to him, and well played for them noticing that angle.
Yep. And then with that, we're going to move on to game 3. Game 3 has a bunch more notes, but I'm going to keep it very concise. The important thing to understand about this game 3 is that it plays a little bit differently. Zoom still comes out like early, but essentially hashtag man is doing well mid and proceeds to kind of throw his lead softly by rotating to help bot lane. Essentially, he shows up bot lane a couple of times to save them or to catch the wave after they've died and whatnot, and that essentially starts to set him behind. Now, he is still sort of out farming his laner and all that, but what ends up happening is essentially that by the time the bot lane tower falls and bot lane rotates mid tower has 1 HP and dies instantly. So now their AD carry is completely out of the game, unable to farm. Meanwhile, now hashtag man can't afford to walk up in the side lane because he's just going to get collapsed on by 5 people for free. And so it becomes a very, very difficult game for them to play out from that point. However, Kale, on the other side of the map, gets level 16 at 24 minutes. And from that point forward,
Wow.
they have like a 4 to 5k gold lead on the side of Zoom. It doesn't matter. Like they're taking fights and EBO is winning the fights. Like they're kind of like in a position where EBO could upset Zoom and they're playing the fights fairly well. Unfortunately, they tried to get Chapik on Seraphine, unable to kill her. She gets away and Zoom is able to clean up that fight. And then they try the same thing on Diana a couple minutes later. Same thing happens. Diana survives, re-engages, and they all die. And effectively, they're unable to like defend the push at that point. But if I was completely honest, this is the type of game that EBO could have won. Like it was a very, very. If you were looking at it, even though the gold chart looks like, oh no, Zoom had this in the bag. No. At certain points, it felt like Zoom was going to like just throw this game, and so I wanted to commend EBO specifically because this was a great game to watch, and they were doing a very, very good job until, unfortunately, they made these crucial mistakes at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just looking at the gold graph, it just seems like the team fights, were not going in their favor, right? Like they, around I'm guessing the 18-minute mark, right?
Yeah.
Probably they even lost a team fight or like lost like a objective, and like it went back up. Then it slowly built up the lead, and there's another team fight that happens around like the 27, 28. How long was this game?
This game, I would imagine, was about 30 minutes long, give or
Okay,
take.
30 minutes. Okay. But yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes to like super late game, it just takes one team fight. Whoever wins that last team fight could just pretty much win the game. And it looks like I didn't watch this game specifically, but it looks like Zoom built up the lead and then finally took the last team fight and won the game from that.
Yep. How many any thoughts?
I feel like in a game like this, it's another game where it's like, I mean, they have Maokai, but it's another game where it's like, well, how do you ever deal with Vayne? Because realistically, I mean, I think Ash Braum should win that bot lane matchup. I'm like, just like thinking about it, like Ash should just have the range advantage and like she should be able to like harass constantly. But I feel like considering obviously like Boom is like very talented. He has a lot of synergy, sorry, with Jimis. They probably were able to like not lose that hard, maybe go even. And then you said that hashtag man had to like build Bolly out a bunch. I feel like their characters like all together are very strong, very good. But it's kind of one of those games where like the previous game, they don't really have a way of like dealing with a specific character. This game, it's Vayne. It's like front to back, the Vayne just gonna destroy them. They also have like the Cho'Gath there to stop any sort of dive or just like be a front line for her, and they also have like the CC from uh, Seraphine and Victor. I think it's pretty interesting that despite the gold lane just being on Zoom side the entire time, it looks like this game was actually pretty competitive. So I'm curious, like, is it just they couldn't close it out fast enough, or like it looks like a lot of times they ended up throwing their lead or like losing a fight. Like we see around like 20-ish minutes, the gold lead plummets, goes back up, plummets again, then goes back up again. So it seems like despite the kill lead, it was a pretty back and forth game.
And I guess closing thoughts, like I feel like Bella is really good early mid game, but late game, like she lacks a lot of mobility. She doesn't have as much pressure um, as other like typical control mages do. So I feel like maybe if like let's say the Mel was on Zoom side and the Victor was on EBO side, given the same performance, I think EBO could have taken it.
For
But
sure, I actually agree with that completely.
Yeah, no, I think you're right as well. And I think Mel right now is just really bad. but beyond that, I think it's true that when you play a champion like Mel, those kind of skirmishes in the mid game, you become very susceptible to a champion like Vayne, a champion like Diana, because there's only so much you can really protect yourself from. And if both of them are fairly strong, it becomes a lot harder for you to really play those out. Whereas Victor has a lot of tools at his arsenal that can essentially slow them down. He can do a ton of damage and shield and run away at the same time for some inexplicable reason. So I agree. The one thing I wanted to mention about the bot lane is essentially what exactly what Hamea was saying is how it kind of started to play out. Ali and Braum were actually having the advantage and kind of pushing in, but they believed in themselves a little too much and then took a ton of damage backwards after they had like kind of pushed Zoom out or Boom out. So after that happens and they try to come back to catch the wave, I believe they immediately get a gank down there, and sort of that kind of ends the Ash Braum like supremacy in that lane. It kind of leads Boom to just play the game however he wants after that. With that said, we're gonna move on to the next game, which is B2F versus GG. And we have someone who was actually in these games to explain the craziness that happened. Because when you look at the first game, you guys are gonna know that there was some crazy stuff happening. Take it away, Acid.
What's Henry? Is it Henry's law? Is that what it is? Where it's like, if things go bad, they're gonna go bad or something like that? What the fuck is that law?
Wait,
So,
you...
wait, let me just look this up before
I was gonna say
No, that's not Henry's. That's kind of straight. What the heck is that? Like, when it rains, it pours, basically, right? Yeah. So, obviously, Bounty Feed, really strong team.
Murphy's
if not the strongest team, right? Murphy's Law, that's what it was. Yeah. Thank you, not Henry's. What the fuck? So we're kind of excited to go into this game because like how we're gonna stack up, but like we just had a lot of issues just loading up in the champ select by itself, right? So one player kind of was showing up late. Another player had to switch accounts and his like main account. Like we had to restart champ select like 2 or 3 times. Okay. So a bunch of shit happens, whatever. We actually start the game maybe like and done with the draft maybe like 15 or 20 minutes late, right? So it's like fine, whatever. We load up into game 1 and like immediately like one of my players is like, I'm lagging. One of my other players that like didn't have the account issues. And we like pause. Obviously, like it's frustrating because like B2F was ready like at 7 o'clock, right? And he's like, you know what, fine, it's lagging. I could deal with it. Then we start the lane, and then like he's like not moving, not saying anything on Discord. We kind of get the lane advantage a little bit, and then I kind of have to back off. And he just like leaves the Discord call, right? And he's just sitting AFK at the tower. I'm like, okay, great. This is like level 2 or level 3. So like we like instead of like pausing and waiting for that, we just say fuck it, let's just get a sub and just forfeit game 1. That's essentially how it went.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
For my like, I guess I'm just curious. Like, obviously this is like probably one of the worst case scenarios. Based on the overall like series, do you feel like you could have like taken like this game, or like how do you feel about the series? Because that the way you just described it, even though it's pretty brief, it sounded like the lane was fine for you. So I'm wondering like if you feel like that. I guess what I'm wondering is like, do you feel like this series represented like your strength as a team, like despite like what happened game 1? Because I know game 1 obviously is really bad, but
it's hard to say, right? Because like what we have like 3 minutes of gameplay, and it's what am I gonna say? Like, oh, because like we had early advantage that we're gonna win the game, right? Like obviously I wanna say that, but not enough information. I just wish that we had like a better games essentially. I think we could have won the game 1 for sure. I like our comp more than their comp. But I guess we'll never know.
Sometimes that's just the answer. I guess we'll never know. But but how much does game 1 then affect the game 2 coming in?
Right. So game 2, right? So then like we have a sub, like we have to like get a sub in. And then like people are fucking tilted, I think, on both sides at this point, because it's like it's been what, like 45 minutes, and we played like 3 minutes of League of Legends, right? Or something like that. So like we get a sub, we do all that stuff, emergency sub, we go into game two, and I just feel like maybe because we're frustrated, I feel like we take some risky plays, or the team communication isn't there, and we just kind of like fall apart. And obviously, like, you know, the sub didn't do as well in the bot lane as uh we would like, but it's hard, right? Like you're a sub for like a random team. I'm not gonna blame the sub for doing that. But yeah, I think overall we're tilted, and it doesn't quite work out.
Not just that, you also have to account for the wrath of a loon because he's not gonna let his damage numbers go down just because we had a 3 minute game. Like, nah, bro, he's gonna have to do extra damage this
It's
game
true.
in order
It's
to
true.
catch up.
Yeah, for sure.
These guys are stat padding every game. The Loon,
Yeah.
we get it.
Listen, bro, if the game is over, the first thing Alun is doing is opening that GCS League website and looking at the DPM.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
That's Alun, bro.
Alun, we know you're watching this, by the way. Dude, stop stat padding.
He did ask me to stat pad in game one. He did say that in chat.
Bro,
And
he's
I
so
obliged,
ill.
but it's so funny. Like for some reason we tried to make the surrender vote a little bit earlier, but as soon as he was about to kill me, the game, like, somehow the surrender vote like went through. So like literally at the last second, right as the auto attack goes off, like he just barely doesn't get the
He's
kill on
like,
me.
no, my stats. No, I won't have the highest KDA.
I've
But
been
yeah,
in
I
this
just like
call.
not
That's
a
exactly what he said.
not a great showing for my team, and I appreciate Alun teams being Bounty Feed being patient. So
Yeah, Alun is pretty cool, and so is the rest of this team. They're very like patient. What I heard.
No, the vibes are good over there. That's what I've seen. All right, so with that, we'll move on to not game three, to series number 3, and this is VVV versus WWW. Now, this series happened like 2 weeks ago, so I know nothing about this series. Haumea was asked to be here specifically to be able to talk about this series. All I have for this series is this game. Right, this is the first thing we have. So go ahead, Haumea. Can you talk about this?
Oh my
game?
god! So this game. The thing is, right before this game, Randy was like, "Hey, can I play Nasus jungle?" And it's just like, dude, like this guy just like I don't know. He just flips a coin. He rolls a dice, and he's like, "Oh, I want to play this shiny thing in jungle." And I'm like, "Bro, whatever, fine." But anyway, so from what I recall, this game kind of nothing really happened. I mean, I think our bands were pretty good. We had a pretty good read on what they wanted to play and what they wanted to do. Uh, I knew that Reaper's Blades, in my opinion, is one of his best, if not his best champion, is Syndra. So I knew like getting rid of it would be pretty easy. Uh, and overall, I just think this game, even though early game wasn't like ideal, I kind of felt like no matter what, we were just gonna win this game. I mean, we have Asol, we have Nasus. I think our late game is just much better than theirs. We also have Sahen, who apparently isn't as strong as I think. Everybody keeps saying that now, but I still think that champ's pretty good. I think he takes a lot of space because of his passive, how hard he is to kill. But overall, nothing really happened that much this game, especially after early. We kind of just would walk up and like force objectives and get picks, and they couldn't really answer because it's like, well, how do you walk through a Soul's E? Like with these champs, like they don't really have much range to reach him, except for Jarvan. But then if Jarvan goes in, like Nasus is just there zoning the rest of the team, and then I'm also there. Uh, then I think I remember one of the fights in like drag. We just got a flank on them, and the game basically just ended there. So I think I don't really think their comp could do anything against ours after early. So like once we drafted this and we saw their draft, we were like, okay, yeah, this game should be pretty free. I will say though, early, like top lane early. I mean, I don't know top lane matchups, but this Sejuani was low key like kind of smurfing on my top laner, and in the call we were like, yo, like, are you all right, top? Like, what's going on? And he's just like, yeah, her damage is high. And Rainy was like, yeah, it's pretty high. I
Oh,
swear he like got solo killed like 2 or 3 times. I think
what
all his
happened?
deaths are from getting solo killed.
What happens like the 16-minute mark? Is that what we're talking about, where it's like the top laner kind of got diffed, or
16 minutes? You mean like when how's it
like the one,
called?
I'm just looking at the champion gold graph. Like
I
it looks like a team
think
fight happened or something like that, where it's like, holy crap, like, are
I
they gonna
think
lose?
so. I can't remember exactly. I think Top died and Riddy also died. Like we went for a play and I think Riddy died and Top also got killed. So it was kind of awkward, but after that, Riddy was like, "No, it's fine. Like I have my item here. We just win every fight now." And then it was just like pretty chill after. Kind of shocked the first game isn't showing. I don't remember what happened. I remember the lobby being bugged.
I believe this is the first game, no? And
Oh my
Legacy.
bad, not the first game, the
Because,
second game.
yeah. So, one thing that I wanted to mention is how now Zahan is supposedly strong. Not when this game was played, but now,
Oh,
apparently,
okay,
after the patch,
okay.
he's back to being strong. And I wanted to ask you a question about playing with I play off meta. Like, how have you found that in terms of. Are you worried at all about overlapping the damage type, or is it okay because you have a jungler, for example, like Riddy, who can kind of take the other damage profile and sort of balance the team out?
Well, at first I was kind of worried. 'Cause I was like, "Oh, uh, can't really play mages, huh? Because I have a AP bot player." But he can also just play AD champs, and also it shockingly doesn't even matter. Which, like he said, like comps literally don't matter. And when he first said that, I was like, "All right, this guy might be a little cooked." But he ended up being completely right. Like it actually doesn't matter, especially because Asol's damage is so high, and his zone control is so good that even if technically you are doing less damage, they can't even reach you. So you're just gonna eventually kill them. Also, like you said, Riddy can play AD champs, so can Top, and so can I. So if there's ever a scenario where it's like they're picking like I don't know, let's say they pick like Mundo. I mean, I don't really know what's like anti AP except for Mundo. But let's say they pick like Mundo or something and like another tank like Sej or Ornn. Uh, then obviously I can just go AD or Riddy can go like AD. So it's not particularly an issue.
Okay. And then we're going to go to game two, basically. And this is all that appears for
Oh,
game
can
two. This is all we have. And
can I
so,
go on my OP?
Maya, please explain.
He actually do customs show up on OP.gg?
It shouldn't show up on op.gg.
Oh, it
Um,
should not. Oh,
It should
okay.
not. I believe the reason it doesn't is because you need to specifically change the spectator to open. And so I wanted to specifically ask you guys for whenever the lobby bugs the next time, because for whatever reason, whenever you guys are in the game, the lobby bugs, uh, just post number one the screenshot of the games, but number two and more importantly, I think when you create the custom game, if you open the lobby spectator option, then it will appear in your game history.
Wait. So if we open the spectator in the lobby, it's fine. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
because
not bad.
when because the idea is that when those lobbies are created, the custom lobbies, the pro players didn't like that other people could just look at that history, and so to resolve it, they essentially got rid of you being able to just look at it in the websites. But I think if you open the that sort of spectate option, then it allows for people to look at it after the fact.
Mm, okay. I mean, I have the screenshot of the 2 games, so like I could talk about the other game if you want me to.
Well, yes. You need to explain this
You-
game, so go.
Can you post the
Okay.
screenshot on our Discord call so we can like
Yes,
pull it up?
I will. Copy the image. All right, this is the screenshot.
Okay, good. I will. Say
I'll wait till you pull it up. Then I
Yeah.
will continue.
So you're not going to see it in the thing because I'm not going to put it, but I'll be adding it right now to the.
Okay, well then I'll just continue. I'll just start now.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
this game was funny because prior to this game, we were actually gonna do a different strategy, but then it was like we were talking, my team, and it was like, well, what if we just like pick their champs. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, we could just do that. So we picked Amumu away from Geeky, and we picked Smolder away from what was it called, J Rich, and we picked Mort away from Eggnog, and we just picked what we thought would be good with that. I picked Tway because I felt like uh it's fine mid, like you have decent wave clear, you can kind of neutralize a lot of matchups, and then also in team fights, it's really hard for like Panth and Vayne to just walk up to you, and Garen as well. Like you have a lot of CC, you have your slow from your Q Magma, and you also have your Fear and Root. So I thought it would be pretty good into their comp. They're not really high range, except for uh sorry, except for what's her name? Why do I forget the name of this character? The mid lane
Mel.
champ. Yes, Mel. And this game overall, it didn't feel hard, even though I don't think I played that well. Because I mean, I feel like games where Brady just gets to do what he wants are always easy. And I play off meta. He played really well early game, even though it didn't go as well as it could have in lane. He didn't really get pushed back. He finished his stacks pretty fast, and then similar to the second game, they kind of had no answer to our comp. Like they had no way of reaching Smolder in a fight. And if they did like try to engage on us, we had more just like cancel one person out, and then the rest of us just engaged where we walked. And then also with Mbessa, I think it's really easy to just pick one person instantly with like Mbessa and Mumu. So overall, this game wasn't too hard. I think we could have done early game a little bit better, but I'm pretty happy with how we played in general.
Yeah, no, from the looks of it, you guys did a very, very good job, and we saw the Mbessa last week as well. Be very impactful despite losing. Unlike really who just popped off on there. The top laner for last week was struggling on there, and then because the top laner ulted the Acel at the right time, essentially just turns the entire game. That was the
Oh yeah,
TCOJ game. Yeah,
that was actually really sad. I tell you, like, uh, it was kind of awkward because we wanted to take that fight, but we didn't know that happened until the fight was already over. Like he said, "Oh wait, I'm in Bessa ulted. I can't believe he caught me," and then the fight was basically over. We were like, "Well, we gotta get out somehow. We could not get out of there." But it's kind of sad. I feel like that game, even though I was pretty far behind, because Gumby was just playing really well. I think we actually were in a position to just win that game, and I feel like if we were to probably play that situation out again, we most likely just win there. But it ended up not mattering because we won the third game. But you know, on the leaderboard, it says we lost the game. So
Yeah,
GG.
I was gonna say if you guys play that match 10 times, I think you lose 2 times and win 8 times.
I
Yeah,
think Gumby
I
always
agree.
does Gumby things that game. That's all I'll say.
I mean, yeah, Gumby's the goat, but I think his team let him down a little.
For sure, for sure. Well, speaking about Gumby, that is the next series. So we have RIDM versus TCOJ. Um, I've again watched these games. I believe Acid mentioned watching it recently. So, Acid, you want to start us off with a little bit of what happened on game one?
Yeah, sure. So, game one. Top Sushi just absolutely wrecks top lane. A lot of that gold difference early game is like just Sushi is like absolutely rocking it. Um, and then bot lane, there's a lot of trading that happens. This essentially was like a 3v3 uh, bot lane. So we have for bot we have the Varus, the Melio, and then we have the Kindred versus the MF, the Knot, and the uh, Udyr. And I think they they did a much better job bot lane with the 2v2 Peptic and Majin Hollow, then Bronzina and Sunshine, which kind of makes sense, right? Peptic is that they're one of their tier one players. Um, and then I think there wasn't really much of a jungle difference. I think they performed similarly, uh, Elias and Ceraziel. So that was kind of even. But I think the biggest difference in the gold. So like bot won a lot for oh my gosh,
RIDM.
TCOJ,
Oh,
right? No, I'm sorry. Oh yes, running down mid. But top won a lot for TCOJ. So that kind of like neutralized a little bit. Um, but Gumby's like difference in like uh CS and like the plating made up for the difference. So essentially, kind of like when it came to the team fight, I think the whatchamacallit, um, TCOJ had a bigger impact on team fights than run it down mid.
I agree.
That's what it felt like.
I agree. I watched this game, and the note I actually have, because I agree exactly with how you described how the early game was going. Basically, top lane was just Sushi abusing top Tua. It was really, really bad. It was really egregious. And then bot lane, I thought that Majin Hollow and Peptic were actually winning the lane pretty notably. They were playing
Yeah,
very, very well. Problem is that they just couldn't keep up with the rest of the team. And essentially, what I found very, very interesting is that what happens this game is essentially the Arakan throw. Basically, RIDM goes to do Herald. They get Herald. They die in Herald. And TCOJ proceeds to go mid lane, push. RIDM respawns, goes in, fights, dies again, and TCOJ is able to just push and end the game with that same sort of like from Herald where they clean them up, they just push and win the game. So much so that they end the game. TCOJ ends the game with 11k gold in their pockets, not spent. Like if you add up all the gold they had at the end of the game, they had 11k while they were killing the Nexus. And if you look, like the lead is 15k. Like essentially that whole like lead that snowballs there is just off whenever Herald died, they just kind of pushed and just got all that gold and won the game. So it was really, really interesting to see like that sort of closeout because it was very dominant from the side of TCOJ.
So,
Go ahead.
did you guys watch the VOD of this game, or were we watching it live? Because I really wanted to watch this live, but I could not.
I
I
watched the
watched the
replay.
Oh wait, who was? I was
No,
asking
no.
for streamer.
I
Sorry,
saw
not
it.
stream. I watched the replay as well.
I went to Majin Hollow's
right.
profile, and Majin Hollow still had the game, and so that's where I
Oh.
downloaded the replay and watched it. So you
Not
might still
bad.
have it up, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll look after. But so like after I played, like TOCJ, Tommy was like, "Yeah, I might have to pick mages." So I kind of knew it was a little doomed for them, because when he locks in mages, it's he's getting serious. But jokes aside, I feel like it's hard. I think the problem with our IDM is it's hard to win when you have, in my opinion, weak solo laners. It's especially hard for your jungler because a lot of times you can't go for certain plays, or you're getting it invaded and it's hard to defend it, or like you won't have prio to like start objectives, or like your team's just on the map slower because like they might not reset at the right time, so you guys are like off tempo. I think it's going to be a recurring challenge for them. It's good that they have a strong bot lane, but again, it can only go so far. Like, I question like what will happen if they play against. Uh, sorry, I forget the name of that team. The team that played the Katarina. Uh,
KBO.
yeah, because imagine like you're versus like any assassin or roaming type of character, or even like you're against a bot lane that just plays super safe scaling while the solo laners like get ahead. I think it's a problem they have to tackle soon. But in terms of like looking at like the champion gold and the scoreboard, like the damage numbers, it looks like they just convincingly just out damaged. Like everyone just out damaged everyone, like except for support, I guess. But it looks like they were just convincingly ahead. It's kind of interesting you said the game ended at Herald because it does not reflect on the gold, but I mean, at the end of the day, like it does matter, like the comps, because being up like 3K gold or whatever might not be that much in like in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, like I said, I think it's a problem that they'll have to solve soon. The
Yeah,
weak soloing
just
aspect.
to kind of add on to that, right? I think it was pretty even the first couple. Once again, even in terms of the gold to difference, but the matchups were like top pretty handily won, versus the bot pretty handily won. But the turning point was the team fights, and like Sushi was able to kind of teleport down to the first like dragon team fight, right? And that he essentially running down mid was winning that team fight, but then like kind of Sushi kind of saved it. Um, and then despite having like a weaker box side, right? Kind of Garen just couldn't be there fast enough, or maybe he actually he doesn't even have teleport, so there you go, right? Um, and then Not and MF were able to get the lead, but I think if they want to like do much better in the following games, you have to kind of transfer that lead onto another lane, right? So like Peptic being the tier one
A
player
hundred
should
percent.
like try to win, help the jungler win or help the mid win instead of just kind of staying bot and letting that win, kind of like that stagnate.
I think it's the opposite. I think now we throw more to the bot lane and essentially we put the like we essentially play like if Majin Hollow is a loon and we're just gonna throw all the resources down there and have a top side that can gracefully lose and a mid lane that just can sit back and farm. I think that's the sort of strategy because essentially you Ryzel, I think the problem with this team specifically is just that the jungle doesn't play these gank bot lane style jungles. And so his strong lane is bot lane, and he doesn't play champions that necessarily play towards it. And so he can't necessarily put his imprint in the game because if he tries to invade or tries to do anything, he just doesn't have the solo lanes to really follow through with that. So that's why I think it's just trying to sort of pivot to, hey, Majin, you're just now going to have to like figure out how you're going to carry these games, and we're going to try to put you in the best position, and hopefully everybody else can like help you win there. But
But
it's a
like
tough challenge to have for sure.
I question though, like, because like Sushi likes to play like characters that can side lane or like dominate and then take over. So it's one of those things where it's like, can you trust top lane to try to minimize as much as possible? Because if not, you're just gonna have a massive problem top. And it's like, well, will that offset bot lane? Who knows? But I mean, I sort of agree with you, especially. I mean, I don't know Ryzel a lot, but from what I've seen, he does play like those type of characters that don't really gank bot lane a lot. So yeah, it is a tough challenge for them.
All right. With that, we're gonna go to game two. And for game two, I thought again that Majin Hall did a very very good job this game, and bot lane was actually like popping off pretty well. Ryzella's game was one of those games where you really like, okay, this guy is that good, right? Because this was a game where he was kind of making sure to put pressure and sort of be a problem in the game. It's just same thing as the other game. Just the top side of the map just was too difficult for Majin Hall to do much with it.
Yeah, I agree. I still think my analysis of like, so this game like bot like won so hard, right? But I feel like maybe they stuck around bot lane a little bit too much. Maybe they should rotate a little bit sooner or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The jungle matchups are really close, and Surazel did an excellent job actually this game. Um, but just yeah, the Gumby difference was huge. We had Tom Tua go mid here instead, and like the CS difference is insane. If you look at even if you look at early game, at one point he was like at maybe like the 10-minute mark, if I remember correctly, he was up like he was triple his CS, right?
Yeah.
So it's like holy crap.
Triple?
Yeah.
Maybe quadruple. I think it was like 20 to 80.
What?
Yeah, it was yeah, right? So like
I
that's
thought I
one thing.
misheard you.
No, Tom Taylor was in the blender this game, bro. It was
I mean, it's Oriana versus Veigar, so Oriana wins, and also it's like a Masters player, right? Versus what is it?
Masters?
I think he's currently Masters, or
Don't be
last season was
challenger, bro.
Masters. He used to be Challenger, right?
Yes.
I don't know my ranks.
I'm
But then Angel Angel of Paper goes top, so they're both tier 2 players. And Sushi actually destroyed some heavily early game. Um, Let me look at the bands. Who had the Sushi versus the Kasante? Yeah, and yeah, just Sushi just completely dominates top lane. There was one time where like Kasante kind of did have a pretty much a solo kill that went to the Karthus, but that was still top favored. Mid was really favored, and despite having bot really ahead, they just couldn't do it enough with that for the game ended.
And not just like 80 carry, but like Peptic was hitting some crazy hooks this game, like all game long. Like all game long, he was just hitting
Yeah,
really good hooks. It's just at some point the hook is not enough.
he had good silences too. That was like a lot of close team fights 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, the damage numbers.
And the Graves
Just-
having a sick Karthus ult dodge with the Hex take bait.
Oh, that
I don't know if you
sounds
saw
fire.
that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I also saw Tom Tua stick around mid lane for no inexplicable reason, and then Graves just show up and get a free kill with the gold.
Yeah, yeah, Tom Tua kind of.
All right, this is a quick
Ah.
aside. I need to know as a step. Tell me if you what you think. So I feel like this is just my philosophy. I feel like if you're in a matchup like this where uh you're like a massive underdog in like lane, I feel like you should just play characters that don't interact and can just wave clear and can't get punished easily. Like I
Oh,
swear, I feel like something like I don't know, Wave, Zerath, those type of characters, maybe Mel. Like, I feel like, would be perfect for that type of situation. Like, you just lose as much, a little as possible. Maybe go down and farm, but like, you don't die. And it's like, you just like flip the game basically later because you have winning bot and you hope like they can't take advantage of like the farm lead because all they have over you is the farm. Like, they probably didn't kill you or you died maybe one time. I don't
no,
like
I
characters like like Vagar, who, is actually not as safe as you think in lane.
yeah, I 100% agree with you. Or you max E on Vagar and you go full tank and you just pray for the
True,
AoE,
actually.
right? Like that's like that's the like maybe they were thinking of doing that, but like I agree with you. Like he's not of as safe as like you can't really farm. He can't wave clear that fast either, right? If you
Yeah,
talk
it
about his
takes a bit
WQ,
for him to.
yeah. So I wonder if he just went full tank into max E first, if the team fights could have went a little
Low
bit differently.
key, I think.
You guys are saying this, and we're gonna see Tom Tua do it next week, and it's gonna be your fault. Like, don't be giving him ideas.
Hey, but he's not against Gumby next week.
We'll see who he's with against next week.
Yeah.
All right. So that concludes pretty much all the games. What we have is now the week 2 standings. B2F is at the very top because WWW lost the game that they said that they regret losing. Zoom is right under them. They're basically tied. TCOJ sneaks into 4th place with GG losing 2 games, technically losing 1 game, and then 1 game is just doesn't count. But as it is what it is. And then EBO jumps up because they were able to win that second game. And so we have VVV and RIDM at the very bottom. I asked you guys to essentially give your power rankings. This was just a reminder of what our week 1 power rankings are. And then this is our week 2 power rankings with Hamea. Hamea, you want to go through your rankings?
Okay, I see what you did here, Probeck. I see what you did here, Freely. Now you're gonna have for your loon. Type in your chat. Nice of you go. You put your team for bro. I said either order between our teams, first of all. But anyway, I think our teams are overall the 2 best teams. I think we overall have like take like an aggregate the best players. I think our weak roles are like easy to deal with. Like it's hard to punish. I mean, I think top lane like Zimmy's been playing pretty well. Honestly, he's playing really well that game we lost. I think his pool's pretty good as well. He doesn't have a huge ego. Like he's very receptive to like criticism or like saying like, "Hey, we need you to do this." Same with Panda Leon. I actually think they're punching above their weight, to be honest. So I'm very happy with them. I think like from what I've seen, there aren't that many mid laners that are like uh that high elo. So like when I was making this team, like I had that in mind, and I was like, I don't think like mid will be a problem in most games. And then we obviously have like, in my opinion, the best jungle, and like you know the best or tied for best bot lane like ADC. So and for board of feet, I also think like obviously I think Alun is like a really good player. I'd probably say he's the second best player after Gumby. His pool is huge. He lanes very well. Uh, he's really good at like macroing his team as well. Sushi's also quite good. I play with him on the comp team. I think his champs are very. The thing about Sushi is like his champs bully worse players really bad. Like his champs are the type of champs where if you're a worse player, it's gonna be really hard to play into him. Like he's not gonna play like he's not gonna blind Ornn or something, and then it's like, okay, well, we can just slam on like Cho'Gath or something and just try to like, tank v tank. He's gonna pick stuff like Aatrox, like Set, Alawi, champs where it's like if you don't understand what you're supposed to be doing, or if you make a few mistakes, it's gonna be really bad for you. Um and TLCJ, I actually think this team is like could be in the finals. Their main issue is their bot lane is just like by far their weakest point, in my opinion. I think Gumby's obviously really good, and I think any team with Gumby that doesn't have like horrible players can go pretty far. I would be shocked if they fell any earlier than like semis. I actually think it's pretty guaranteed they're gonna reach semis, especially because like I mean they also have like Ineos, who's like also a very good player. Zoom. So this is where it got hard for me. Zoom. How do I even start? Like I think Boom is obviously really good. I'd say he's probably. I don't know if he's after Loon in a playoff meta. Not too sure. Probably, or maybe like he's around there. Um, I don't really know Jimis that well, but I've heard that he's quite good and they have like really good synergy. I don't actually know the rest of their team, but just from looking at it, I think their team's overall like kind of middling, which is why I put them where they are. I think they kind of lack the super high tier firepower relative to the other teams above them. So I put RDM here. I like you guys have RDM like lower than me, obviously. The thing with RDM, right, is on paper they should be higher where they are. Like on paper, they should be higher than they are. I think Rizel and Peptic are two very good players. Like they're two very good players. It's just unlucky, honestly, that like Rizel doesn't play stuff like imagine if he was like a huge Viego player or something, or like a Kindred player, or like some hyper carry type of player. Like I actually think they would have much more. Like they'd have like more wins. Like I think they have no wins actually, but they have, like decent standing right now. And I actually think Mazin is pretty good as well. I think like his pool is good, and I also think he's good at abusing worse players. Similar thing to Sushi. I think his pool is really good into abusing worse players. Like I said earlier, their biggest drawback is their solo lanes are too weak, in my opinion, to really enable Rizel. And so because their solo lanes are so weak, Rizel's job is harder, especially from the playstyle he plays. And so that eventually trickles down the bot lane. And like I said earlier, it's going to be a massive issue where they face like roaming mids or assassin mids that snowball off uh mid lane and then roam, or they face like super side laning top laners like Fiora, or like they play versus Jax or Riven. Uh, so GG, I think it's kind of hard. I heard this team was all mid laners, so like I don't know how that's gonna work, which is why I put them where they are. I just think, I just think like I don't know. It's kind of the similar situation to Zoom, where there isn't just like one player, one or two players that's just like you feel like the game will automatically be won. Like they don't. It's not like when you see like Gumby, for example. You're like, if this guy gets a lead, the game could be won. Or like Riddy or Rizel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Acid Step. I think you're playing off role, aren't you?
I mean, I am a mid main, but like I play a lot of support.
I feel like no, man. I don't know. Your team is just weird, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So
think
like
if
to
you were
kind of weigh in
playing
on
mid
this, like
every game,
I think I think 6 foot is great, right? Um, I think um Soap Magdalena Bay is also a really great player. He could like handle his own in solo lanes. Um, and then Icarus, our tier 3 and our tier 4 player, Icarus and Bluegill, they're actually decent players. Like they're like I'm happy with our like lowest players. It's not like I don't want to shit on Tom Tua or whatever, but like I don't think we're gonna have like a Tom Tua situation, right? I feel like they could lose gracefully, if need be.
yeah. I mean, like
And then
obviously.
like
Oh, sorry.
mechanically,
Go on.
they're like maybe they're like lower ranking, but mechanically speaking, they're great.
I mean, like I think between Zoom and like your team, like you can just like swap the three teams around. Like I don't know enough about the teams, and it's just I think your team is just weird, like I said. So
No, I agree. I think the difference is going to be, can we like practice enough or pull the the comps off well enough before we go into a game. I think
yeah,
it's going to
I
be
actually think that's a very unique advantage your team has. You can like flex a lot of different champions and play comps that other teams can't. So I actually think that's very interesting. I think it actually could end up making your team go further than people would expect. That's I think that's also one of the advantages of my team. Like we can flex between mid and bot. But for GVV, the thing this team is like the reason I didn't put them at the bottom is even though like in my opinion our match versus them wasn't that hard. I think they have two players that I respect. Like I respect Reaper's Blade a lot. I respect J Rich a lot. I think they're very talented players. I just think it's another situation where it's like I said this before, like you don't have that one or two players where it's like, if we give this guy like 5 kills, can we still win the game? You know, like I think people feel like that about Riddy, about like Gumby, about like Alune. Like you don't want to give these guys too many kills, or it's going to be a huge headache to deal with their team. I think their players are close to that, but I don't think they hit it exactly. I also think they have a struggle with jungle. I think Geeky, I think his pool is a little small. So, like, if a team does what we did, which is we just like take his like picks, I'm not too sure how that'll work for them. I also think they're one of those teams where it's like each player has like one or two picks they're really good on, and then after that it falls down a bit. And so in favor list, that really hurts your team a lot if you have players like that, especially if the team you're playing against shares pools similar to yours. Then I think it's really bad. So that's why I put them there. EBO, I heard this team changed. I don't even know, but
like permanently,
uh,
or just because I thought it was a sub.
yeah, I heard it like changed like permanently, but I'm not too sure. I mean, it's not like I asked like the captain. They're like, yeah, we changed. It's just what I heard. But I think EBO is like, I just don't think they have enough strong players. Uh, Xenix is pretty strong, but I think he's one of those players that's it's kind of like me in a way where I don't like to be the primary carry. I think Xenix is a much better player when he has someone to play off, and I don't think he really has anyone to play off on his team. That might change now, but like in the previous series, like you're saying, like if he doesn't have his Wukong, which he's really good at, and he can carry games on, I think he's like a much better like player where it's like, okay, we have like this really strong AC and Xenix can play off him, or we have this really strong jungle and Xenix can play off him. I don't think they have that. So That's why I put them at the bottom. I don't really think they have much to work with currently, but that could change in the future. And then maybe they're like, they could end up being like, team pushing for like, semis, maybe in finals. Like, we don't know because again, I think they change. So, but I think even if they change, I still think overall, like, I mean, if you compare the team like, uh, TCOG or like BF or B or back to what did I just say? It's my bad. B2F, like they kind of don't have enough strong players that can really take over the game.
That makes sense. Um, Acid, do you have any comments? I know your list is effectively the same power ranking list as last week, but do you have any comments either on how Hamea's list is set up or anything that you want to mention about why you stayed in the same order?
I just like for like once again, I feel like my team is very volatile, so it could go either way. I just last week wasn't enough information to really see if we could do it or not. So I think my list is going to change, but I think EBO with their draft roster is the lowest. Obviously, I think VVV doesn't have those like strong enough players to make the list. For TCOJ, he have you have Gumby, so that's great, but I feel like their bot lane is too weak in order to like put it higher against. Or sorry, did I say RDM or TCOJ?
You said
TCO.
TCOJ.
Oh, TCOJ. So TCOJ, right, has Gumby and has Elias, which are both really good players, but I feel like their bot lane is too weak, uh, in order to like be in the top 4 or whatever. And then for running down mid, we just I think you put it well. Well, it's like if their jungler played a little bit more carry uh centric roles, um, or if their other tier 1, if Peptic played like a non-support role, or maybe like support that could have more of an influence on like later fights, I think they would be higher. But because of those reasons, I put them uh essentially below the other teams. And I think pretty strong-handedly at B2F and WWW are the best 2 teams. But like I said, they're not undefeatable, I think. And I'm curious to see how the standings go, like when we're halfway through the season.
Oh. For my list, I think TCOJ went up over GG, and that's just because my big concern with the TCOJ team is actually just Gumby, and what I mean by that is what I said last week. I think Gumby has a tendency to sometimes overcook what he can do, and it puts him in positions where he has to try much harder to carry than he would in kind of more normal-ish picks. So this weekend, I think he basically just picked stuff that he was going to be able to carry with, period. And so it feels like if that's what he's going to be doing, then it puts that team in a really good position. Because while I agree that their bot lane is weak, I don't think they're that weak. I don't think they're a bot lane that couldn't play weak side. I don't think they're a bot lane that couldn't gracefully lose. And I think they're very receptive to feedback, right? Because I think Broncina knows that he's not playing necessarily his main role. He knows that he's playing something different, so I think he's going to be much more willing to kind of maneuver as to what the team needs, and I think that's going to be very useful. Because Sushi Man, like Almea mentioned, is very, very good at sort of abusing players that are weaker than him, and I don't necessarily think there's a ton of players that are better than him in the league, particularly for that role. There's 1 or 2 maybe, and at the top of my head, the only one I can think of is Boomy. Outside of Boomy, I don't really think, like off the top of my head, that there's a lot of like really, really strong, oppressive top laners. So I think Sushi would be able to kind of hold his own against pretty much everyone. And then I moved EBO up and VVV down. And the reason I did that is because I think there's a realistic like world that we could be living in right now where EBO pulls the upset against Zoom. And so if I believe that that was a realistic possibility, right, and Zoom is team number 3, then EBO deserves a little bit more respect. Specifically because everyone's counting them out as pretty much they should, particularly when I saw the ELO graph from last week. Like, that was a big concern. But If Hangman is here to stay, I think that team could surprise some teams. Now, I'm not saying they're going to like win out or even make playoffs necessarily. I think they have very, very easy to fix flaws that they just need to choose to fix, and not every League of Legends player wants to fix them, basically. But if they were to fix those little flaws, they could be a very formidable team. RIDM gets the nod over VVV specifically because Rizal showed up this weekend, and I think that Rizal is just better than any player that Triple V has. And so Triple V is just last because I feel that while they are a good team, they have like Reaper's Play is really really good, and like they have good tools. It's just I don't know that how they fit together necessarily. I think there's a real concern there. So that's kind of where my list changed. The ultimate rankings at the right is just an average of how we scaled them, basically. So it has B2F, WWW, Zoom, TCOJ, GG, RIDM, EBO, and VVV. Now, there's something interesting that we get to do this week, which is we get to make predictions, but specifically that we have GG and WW in the call right now. And so, why should I pick either of you to win? Go ahead.
All right. I think if we're gonna win, we would need to like actually play together a little bit and figure some shit out. So if the schedule works out in our favor, if we could do that, I think we could actually lock in and like looking at, let's see. Let me just look at your teams real fast. Looking at WWW. Just a second. I think I could. You know what? I think it's gonna be like who's gonna win over the jungle, Riddy or 6 foot, because I think we should win bot side if I'm playing support and Icarus is playing bot. Mid, like it's if Soap plays mid, for example, like, do you think you could beat him, Hamea, Magdalena Bay?
Yeah, I think I could. I mean, I think I I feel like I mean, I saw a little bit of his pool. I feel like he plays characters that are like standard characters that most people play and that are also in my pool. So I'm pretty accustomed to playing versus them. But I do, well, actually, it's not my turn yet, so I'll just stop with that. But yeah, I think I could beat him, or at the worst, go even.
Yeah, so I think Magdalene Bay should win over you based on like what I've seen, but once again, like depends on how the draft goes. So then top, I think we should be able to neutralize. So I think it just becomes like who does better as a jungle, Riddy or a 6 foot. Um, so it's gonna be interesting.
All right,
See the very least.
sell me on your team.
And I think the only way we lose is if I play bad. I think uh I think we should just win everywhere else. I think Gagny is a bit. Yeah, I remembered his name now. So that's why I'm not gonna call my play alphabet anymore. I think Gagny is underrated because of the way he plays, but I think he plays in a way where it's like he'll never not be one of the strongest people in the game. I also think Riddy is like I think one aspect of Riddy that people don't know is that he's very smart about the game and he understands what the enemy jungler wants to do and what they can and can't do. So I think with Riddy, it's like even it like even if like for example we're not really ahead early, he knows exactly like when he's strong enough to start taking command over the game. So I think in a longer game we would win, but if like I got really far behind early mid and like a play happened elsewhere like bot or something that also went bad, I think that is like the avenue we could lose. But I think in terms of like likelihood, I don't think that's too likely. I would say we have a pretty high chance of winning, but obviously, like we can lose. Like I don't think any team is like infallible, and I think that we've obviously made mistakes in our gameplay. So and like obviously like GG has like good players, so it's not like oh even if we mess up like we'll throw, but or like even if we mess up we'll just win no matter what. But like I said, I just think that between Riddy and Dagny, if this game goes long, we're basically guaranteed to win. And I think our communication is actually very good. So we know exactly the type of plays that we should be making and like what we should be doing in like each game state. So I don't think that like I don't think we're the type of team that will fall apart if like something bad happens. Really.
I feel like if nothing happens, you guys win. I would agree with that statement, but I feel like I have a bunch of degenerates that like making plays on my team. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, we'll
Yeah,
see
it'll
how
be
it goes.
interesting.
Both of you, I'm glad that you guys are League of Legends players, not wrestlers, because I was expecting a little more drama, a little more talking shit. But okay, I get it. You guys want to be more reserved because you don't want to be the guy who loses, and then next week everyone's like, "Oh, after all the running
Now
Gauntlet shit."
I have to ego a loon when I face him.
Oh, okay.
But
So
other than that, I'll just be humble because like I mean, if I'm being honest, like I mean, look at my team. Like I'm not exactly the superstar, so there's no point in me egoing, right? Like
see,
I'm
that's
not. There's
exactly
no
when I would
ego.
ego. I'm looking at the teams. I think that WWW is favored for sure. I think there's a lot that needs to go wrong for GG to like. I think the jungle matchup is really is better, but 6 foot has his moment, and so 6 foot is feeling himself that day. He could out jungle Riddy, but I think really is a little more reliable. I think I play off meta just throws everybody for a loop, and so I think that that makes their bot lane a little more sort of safe because he knows what he's doing, but you don't, and so going into that is always a disadvantage for the team facing them. And then I think that I actually think top lane is okay. Like I don't necessarily think that Zimmy is like super powered, but like Zimmy's good. Zimmy's just a good player. That's where I put him. So it'll be interesting to see which team wins. I think WW is going to take it, and I think it's going to be a 2-1. Maybe 2-0, but I think it's going to be a 2-1 because I think 6 foot. I played with 6 foot when he first joined the league, and he's improved every time, and he's sort of grown every time, and so I expect that at some point he's going to like put the foot down of no, I am the better jungle, and so I hope that one of these games he does something like that.
I think where the jungle puts his resources in our matchup is gonna like that decision on a macro scale is gonna determine the winner. I think like some junglers play a little bit more selfishly and then they could carry the game, and some junglers play selfishly can't carry the game, right? So it's like how much ganking versus how much like just clearing and just scaling do you want to do?
Yep, makes sense. So for RIDM versus EBO, any predictions on who's going to win that and what's the scoreline?
It has to. The thing is, EBO changed. I was gonna say it has to be RIDM, but EBO changed. I still will put it on RIDM, but like I said, I'm pretty sure the mid laner that they got is like D2. So all I'm gonna say is Tom Tua, just lock in the Scion, lock in the Galio, lock in the Hui, take a back seat. But I mean, like not like he's like horrible, but it's just like you have winning bot and winning jungle. I think you should just like understand that and play for that. You don't have to you don't have to ego mid. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it changed. If it didn't change, 100% RDM.
It changed on the website. If that makes any impact.
Oh shit. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. I don't know who's gonna win now.
But I mean, I guess like without the, so why I would still give it to Run It Down Mid is because I didn't watch game one versus Zoom and EBO, but game one where he was playing ASOL, it didn't look like he was that successful, and he was up against I believe their Zoom's tier four mid player. So the second game he popped off, like I wonder what happened the first game, you know. And the third game, it looked like he was winning pretty hard, but once again, he's winning a champ that is easy to win lane with, right, Mel?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with EBO. I'm gonna go against the grain.
Wow! Oh
I
shit!
think
You want to put
Oh
money on it
my
or what?
god.
I'll put a mystery skin on it. I'll put a mystery skin on EBO
All right,
winning
let's
that
just get.
matchup. I think that RIDM should win, right? I think on paper RIDM is a certain team. I don't think they figure I don't think they're gonna figure it out. I think it's that simple. I think it's gonna be one of those teams where at the end of the season we're gonna be looking at it and be like, damn, that team should have been so good, and then it just wasn't. And so I think EBO now kind of will cement that with the win here. Then for Zoom and B2F, I'm gonna go ahead and go with B2F because I think that B2F's team. I don't know how that was a legally drafted team, but they're really, really good. And so I think that B2F will take that one. What about you
2 or
guys?
2-1.
2
They're
1, 2 0, 2 0. They're
like, okay, let's just be honest. B2F is just better Zoom. I actually don't think Zoom could ever beat B2F. Like, if you just look at the two teams side by side, okay, Zoom is really good, but Elude is better. And it's like both teams I feel like want to play around bot, but
I think
like
it.
I don't
So
know.
I agree. B2F wins. However, if Jemis like puts on his carry pants, he might make enough of a difference.
I
But
mean,
like he
yeah,
would really have to put on his carry
if that
pants,
happens, yeah, I think
right?
they'll win.
Like if he plays like a pike or something like that, you know, and he like gets the early uh lead bot side and then roams around and helps the jungler or the mid
But they
laner,
still
like you know.
have Boomy and Leaf. Actually, how is this team legal? Wait a minute, I just looked.
Yeah,
They have
I know, right? Yeah, yeah,
wait, what? Yeah, actually, yeah. So they have better bot, top, and jungle. Wait, what?
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, let's just go to the next team.
Aluden pulled the PP diff thing. You know,
Let's go to TOCJ, guys. Let's move on.
all right.
I
So
think this team should be TOCJ, probably 2-0. I mean, again, it's like, well, they have better bot, but we've already seen that better bot doesn't translate to beating TOCJ automatically, and they have super strong mid, super strong jungle. Top, from my recollection, is no slouch. Oh wait, no, it's Sushi Man. Yeah, I mean, okay, like, sorry, I forgot.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, only way I can see them winning this game is if Gumby like egos Reaper's Blade a little too hard, and then Reaper's Blade, like comes out on top, and they have winning bot. And I definitely think they could win, but I think that's very, very unlikely. And I think even if that were to happen, Gumby would probably just play the mid late game better, and so would Ilias. So yeah, I feel like they should win 2-0. Actually, I could see a 2-1, but if it were to be a 2-1, it would be one of those like really hard
Ambessa ults the backline.
wins. Yes. Yeah, and Bessa ults the ASO flying in.
what about you, Acid? What do you think about the TCOJ versus VVV?
I think TCOJ 2-0s. Yeah,
I think it's a
simple.
2-1. And I think it's just game two, more so than the best. I think Gumby will play something fun, and it'll not necessarily be good. And I think that they'll just lose just because of some BS. Uh, but yeah, I think it's a 2-1 TCOJ. I don't think there's any doubt that TCOJ takes the series. It's just a matter of whether it's a 2-1 or a 2-0. But yeah, that's essentially our entire show for Running the Gauntlet for GCS Season 3, Week 2. Anything that you want to tell people before you leave, Hamaya?
Uh, Shout out Evaps uh, for his like help with drafting. Uh, Shout out you guys. You guys have a good product. I watched the previous um how's it called? Running the Gauntlet a
Thank
few
you,
days
thank you.
ago. I thought it was very good. Uh, I definitely don't like the uh intro like graphics. That's just me. Maybe I'm miscooked. Uh, but yeah, I think this weekend will be pretty interesting. I actually think, aside from the second series, the series should be interesting to watch.
I agree. Uh, Acid stuff. What about you? Also, thank you very much for
Um,
the compliments. Oh yeah.
no, I am excited to see the results. I especially for my team. Like, if we get to actually play the game, that'd be great. Um, but yeah, I think a lot more interesting matchups for sure. Like, I'm curious to see what happens in each lane. So like, I'm like looking forward to like watching the replays and like, okay, this is does it go as predicted?
Nice.
Right? Does this bot lane actually win versus bot lane? And if so, by how much? Can they push the lead and whatnot? Like, really cool stuff happening.
Yeah, I agree. I think this weekend is going to be a very interesting set of games. I think the Zoom B2F is very interesting. I hadn't thought about it,
Right?
but Tame is right.
Right, like what bot lane wins
Yeah.
for Zoom versus B2F, right? Like for RDM versus EBO, like can EBO pull a win with their new player, right? GG versus WW, like which jungler is gonna like make the lead happen, in my opinion. And then TCOJ versus VVV, will Gumby have fun the second game?
That's pretty much the question. My understanding is that there should be a stream game this weekend. That's what I was guaranteed
Oh,
by.
you actually for you guys, your captain wanted to reschedule, and we're still waiting for that. But
Me,
we can talk about
yeah,
that off stream.
me.
Okay, oh, that's right. Yeah, you want to reschedule. That's right. Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys can talk about this after the
Yes,
show.
yes.
But thank you very much for watching. We appreciate viewership as always, and we'll see you guys next week.